If you want to buy an Apple M4 Mac Mini for video editing, in this video I have two recommendations for you at two different price points. Hey, by the way, my name is Matt Johnson. I'm going to cover a best bang for your buck budget Mac Mini, as well as a much more powerful option that will handle many other kinds of videos you throw edit for editing. Plus, we also need to talk about some upgrades that I recommend if you have the budget. Sound cool? Okay, to save you time, I've linked down in the video description to the exact Mac Minis that I recommend also because I respect your time like that. And in addition, the links in the description will include keyboards, mice, monitors that I recommend, etc. because, spoiler, the Mac Mini does not come with any of that in the box, and you're going to have to buy it separately. I will also tell you that some of these links are to websites where I've found the absolute cheapest price for a M4 Mac Mini, so I would definitely recommend checking all these links before you make your purchase. Also, this video does have a sponsor that's going to be super helpful to you as you edit videos. It's my friends at Lickd Music Licensing. If you want to be able to license and use music from the world's top artists in your YouTube videos, you gotta sign up for Lickd. As a wedding filmmaker, a lot of my couples are looking for top 40 popular music that they hear streaming all the time, but it was always too difficult or expensive to license those songs on YouTube. That's where Lickd changes the game, giving wedding filmmakers and YouTubers access to the largest catalog of over 1.4 million mainstream audio tracks and royalty-free songs, with hits from artists like Sabrina Carpenter, Coldplay, Bruno Mars, all of these big names that you can now use in your videos while being protected from copyright claims. That's right, all you have to do is get a license from Lickd, upload your unlisted video to YouTube, Lickd will clear any copyright claims, and you can then publish and monetize your video without any worries. It's fantastic. So sign up for Lickd today at my link in the video description and start licensing the music that you, your clients, and your wedding couples have been asking for. Now, if you want the best bang for your buck Mac Mini that is going to easily be able to handle editing 4K video that was filmed in the H.264 or H.265 video codec, which is very common, that's what most cameras use these days, this may be the easiest computer buying choice that you've ever had to make. Just get the base Mac Mini with an M4 chip for $600. I cannot overstate the value that you are getting with this computer for this price. This is such a great budget computer for video editing, and what's crazy is that you don't have to do any upgrades to it. Out of the box, it's going to work phenomenally. In the past, with previous Apple computers buyer's guides that I've made, I always had to recommend that people spend some sort of extra money to upgrade. Spoiler, it was usually the memory that you needed to spend extra on, because earlier M-series Apple computers only came with 8 gigabytes of memory on the base model. But now, with the M4, Apple has finally increased that to 16 gigabytes, which is really the sweet spot for budget video editing. And so, whereas in the past, I used to have to recommend that people spend about $800 on a previous generation Mac Mini with upgraded memory, now you don't have to do that. It's already everything you need in the cheaper base model, which is great, helping you save money. Now, if this base model of Mac Mini did have one limitation, it would be in the area of storage space, because it only comes with a 256 gigabyte SSD. To be clear, this is plenty of space for your operating system and video editing programs, but I would not recommend ever putting your video files on this internal SSD and editing from it, because once you start to fill up this SSD, it's going to slow down the rest of your computer dramatically. Because of that, I would instead recommend investing in an external SSD that you can edit from, which is still going to be very fast, and you can also get one for dramatically cheaper than you could if you spent the $200 to upgrade the internal SSD. I will link to external SSDs that I recommend down in the video description for you to pick up as well. Next, as far as other optional upgrades go for the Mac Mini, the only other one that I would consider would be the $100 upgrade to a 10 gigabit Ethernet port on the back, but I would only do that if you have either very fast fiber internet or you are planning on editing video from a NAS or something like that. Regardless, the closer that you can keep this Mac Mini to the base $600 price, the better, but I also want you to be aware that there are ways to get this Mac Mini for even cheaper, which makes it an even better deal for budget video editing. Up first, I would check Costco as well as other stores to see if the Mac Mini is on sale, because I've seen it for only $500 instead of $600, which is kind of mind-blowing because this is a brand new Apple product. While $100 off didn't used to be much in the world of Apple whenever their computers cost thousands upon thousands of dollars, suddenly you have a Mac Mini that's significantly cheaper on sale even though it was just announced, which is kind of crazy. Alternatively now, if Costco does not have the Mac Mini on sale, but you still want to save some money, if you are a student, I would check Apple's Education Store, because they also have the Mac Mini available for $500 at the time of making this video on their website, and I would definitely consider that. Lastly, while at the time of making this video it's not available, I would expect the M4 Mac Mini to show up on Apple's refurbished website sooner rather than later, and that can help get you an even bigger discount. So depending on whenever you're watching this video, I would definitely check their refurbished site as well. Like I said at the start of this video, I will link to all of these websites down in the video description with these specific Mac Minis that I recommend. And speaking of recommendations, that of course leads into my second recommendation for which Mac Mini you should purchase. And this second option is going to be for you if you have both significantly more money to spend and you want your videos to edit and render even faster than they could with the base M4 chip. I would also consider this second option if you're commonly finding yourself editing videos that are 4K, but occasionally editing videos that are 6K or 8K resolution, or videos that are filmed in a beefier codec, let's say, than H.264 or H.265. To be clear, if you are editing exclusively 6K or 8K ultra high resolution or raw video footage, I can't really say that a Mac Mini, even with the M4 Pro, would be the best choice, and you may want to look at a Mac Studio with one of their Max chips. But spoiler, I have a recommendation for that as well a bit later in this video. For this more powerful Mac Mini now though, you don't want to go to the Apple configurator page and max out all of the settings for about $4,700. That's wild. No, don't do that. Instead, you're going to want to choose the cheapest Mac Mini that comes with the M4 Pro chip, which at the time of recording this video comes in right at $1,400. With your $1,400, you are getting a M4 Pro chip with a 12-core CPU and 16-core GPU, which I'm sure you may be noticing that there is an upgrade option to a 14-core CPU for $200, but in all of my research, the jump from 12 cores to 14 cores is going to be pretty darn negligible in terms of video editing speed and performance, so I would instead choose to save the $200 cost for this processor upgrade and either save your money or spend it on another upgrade. What other upgrades should you consider? Well, looking at the memory, one nice benefit of going with the M4 Pro is that by default, it has also received a memory bump up from 16 gigabytes to 24 gigabytes, which should help with higher quality video editing. If you're editing a lot of footage that is higher resolution than 4K, you may want to consider upgrading your memory to 48 gigabytes for $400, but I do have a warning for you if you choose to do that, which I will share in just a minute after we talk about these other upgrades. Up next, you have storage, which the nice thing is that whenever you upgrade to the M4 Pro chip, you also get a storage bump up to a 512 gigabyte minimum SSD, which again, I think is plenty for your operating system and video editing programs. But even with 512, I would still not recommend editing videos from this internal SSD and instead use an external SSD because you want to keep the space free on the internal SSD so the computer is as fast as possible. And the cost of upgrading the internal storage goes up very quickly when you buy it from Apple, and it's so much cheaper to just buy an external SSD. Side note, by the way, whenever people got their hands on the M4 Mac Mini and took it apart, they discovered that it actually has a removable SSD, and I have read that there's now a company working on creating their own external SSDs that I'm betting will be cheaper than what are available from Apple. So it would be significantly more work and require you to take apart your Mac Mini, but there is the potential for you to be able to upgrade your SSD for yourself in the future and save some money, and that's a rarity these days with Apple. You don't oftentimes get to upgrade things yourself. So I would just keep that in mind, and if that company does come out with a user swappable SSD, I will link to that down in the video description to help you potentially save some money. Lastly, for upgrades, you have the choice of upgrading to 10 gigabit Ethernet, which, as we talked about earlier, feel free to choose this if you need it. And now we need to circle back to the warning that I mentioned a short while ago, because remember, I'm trying to help you save as much money as possible, and I have a very specific reason for recommending this exact configuration of the M4 Mac Mini. The reason that I'm recommending this configuration at $1,400 is that once you start spending money on upgrades, let's say you decide to go from 24 gigabytes to 48 gigabytes of RAM because you're editing a lot more 6K or 8K footage, and that can help the computer edit faster. Well, that 48 gigabyte upgrade costs you $400, bringing the total of the M4 MacBook up to $1,800, which is still a great deal whenever you compare it to other M4 computers currently available from Apple at the time of making this video, like the M4 MacBook Pro, for example. But once you start to look at earlier generations of Apple computers, which are still very powerful, this is where you're going to want to pause and consider how you are spending your money. Because while you could get the M4 Pro Mac Mini with the upgraded RAM for $1,800, at the time of recording this video, you could also go to B&H's website and buy a brand new Mac Studio with an M2 Max chip for $2,000, and I've also seen it for the same price as the M4 Pro Mac Mini on sale for $1,800. And to be clear, as fast and modern as the M4 Pro chip is, the M2 Max chip is still going to be dramatically faster than it is whenever it comes to video editing. Do you see what I'm saying? The M4 Pro Mac Mini is a good deal at $1,400, but the closer you get to $2,000, it becomes less and less of a good deal, and you would be better off buying a Mac Studio with an M2 Max chip. So please keep this in mind as you're buying a Mac Mini. I want to make sure that you get the best computer that you can with your money. Speaking of your money, let's talk more about how you can save with the M4 Pro Mac Mini. For starters, just like with the base level M4 Mac Mini, you can also save $100 if you're a student and purchase it through the educational store, which will bring the total price down to $1,300. Or alternatively, I've seen this same configuration of the M4 Pro Mac Mini on sale at Costco for $1,270, which should save you a bit more. Be sure to check Apple's refurbished site as well. With these websites and their discounts in mind, I do think that they make the M4 Pro Mac Mini more appealing. But to be clear, even with those discounts, you could still buy 2 of the base model M4 Mac Minis for the same price. And if you get that base model on sale for $500, you could almost buy 3 of them, which is absolutely wild. If anything, though, that just emphasizes what a fantastic deal this base $600 or $500 M4 Mac Mini is. So the choice is up to you. Personally, with such an insane price, I would pick up the base M4 Mac Mini and test it out with video editing. Worst case, if it isn't fast enough, you could return it and upgrade to the M4 Pro. But I'm betting that you're going to get this base model and be really happy with it, especially for the price. Now, what about accessories? Well, keep in mind that the M4 Mac Mini does not come with a mouse, keyboard, or monitor. I will link down in the description to budget keyboards and mice and monitors to keep your price as low as possible, as well as some upgraded options that are my personal favorites, all down in the video description for you to check out. Oh, and I'll also link to external SSDs as well. I will also link down in the description to my edit videos like a pro guide. This guide is going to show you some of the most important things that took me years to learn as a video editor, and regardless of which video editing software you use, I know that these tips are going to help make you a better video editor as well. You can check out this guide completely for free at the link down in the video description. Please like this video and subscribe if you want to see more videos about video editing in the future. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.
Think I only want one number in my phone. I might change your contact, but don't leave me alone. You said you like my eyes and you like to make them roll. Treat me like a queen, now you got me feeling thrown. But I can't help myself when you get close to me. Baby, my tongue goes numb. Sounds like blah, blah, blah. I don't want no